tuition. I got bars and eights, but never in a prison. Too far gone, never gonna sit and listen. This is optimism mixed with the best. You get it? What you're seeing is a beast in the flesh. I'm vetted up. I don't need to try to speak for the.
Well, good evening, folks. Welcome to the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. We are live Wednesday night, May 7th, to discuss the 4th episode of The Last of Us Season 2. Now, if you're familiar with The Last of Us, it is based off of a video game series that has been turned into a TV show. For those that are tuning in for the first time, just to let you know, for those that already knew that or have been here before, you know the drill, folks. We're here, of course, with my amazing co-host, Mr. Jeff S. TrueKnowledge. How we doing, Jeff?
Sir, I'm wonderful. I'm glad my microphone is A-okay, so I'm good to go.
There you go. And then, of course, we have returning from the podcast Odyssey, Mr. J. Ren 2000. How we doing, Joey?
We're good. Good. What's going on? What's up?
Going good, sir. Good to have you here tonight. And then, of course, we have, for the first time on the Bleeding Edge, we have Les from the TV Dudes podcast. How we doing, Les?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Excellent to have you, sir. Can't wait to hear your contributions tonight and see what you bring to the table, sir. Always fun to have new guests on. We also have another new guest for the first time on the Bleeding Edge, Mr. Nick from the NT Movie Reviews podcast, or on Instagram. Sorry, on Instagram. How we doing? How we doing, Nick?
Doing all right. Doing really well. Happy to be here. Excited that I finally got to do this.
Awesome. Excellent to have you once again. Just like I said with Les, gonna be wonderful to hear your thoughts, sir, and have new fresh ideas here on the Bleeding Edge. And of course, as always, late, Mr. Time Lord himself, Mr. Who thinks he's a Time Lord, the new Toxic Avenger, Andreas, the pop culture guy. How we doing?
Very fine. I am a Time Lord. I was just in the void, a very powerful entity from the MCU. I was trying to beat him. Sorry, I'm late. I'm a superhero, so I had to do superheroic things. That's my excuse.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. Anyways, I just have to mention, Mr. Time Lord, I did see your vehicle the other night, sir, with your license plate that said Time Lord on it. So I was assuming it was you, but I don't think you're probably in the Boston area. You're too, Time Lordy to be there. But anyways, I saw your license plate. I said, shout out to Andreas. Just had to let you know. Anywho, so yeah, we're here to talk about Last of Us Season 2, not Time Lord. But anyways, we got Last of Us Season 2 here, which is Episode 4, which happens to be titled Day 1. Happens to be directed none other by Kate Herron. That name might sound familiar. She also has directed a few other things in the recent years. I can't remember exactly what, but I do recall that name being very familiar. But she directed this episode. Of course, Craig Mazin himself was the writer on this episode. And, it's one of those episodes you're just like, oh, lovely. Anyways, so going around, since we have some newbies here, as I like to call them, we're going to go around to Nate and Nick and Les. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on the first 3 episodes, since you have not been here with us on the Bleeding Edge. So starting with you, Les, what have you thought about the first 3 episodes leading into this 4th episode, sir?
So I'd never played this game. And outside of, the bit of spoilers that are just kind of in the air, I honestly didn't know what the fuck was about to happen, that everybody knew was coming this season, I guess. And so episode 2 ending just absolutely fucking floored me. I honestly thought that given the way shows work nowadays, that is like a slow walk 10 episode bullshit with Abby's journey, and so I was shocked, and then left going, holy shit, bold swing. What do we do for the rest of the season? So 3 was going to be a falling action, weird, get my bearings episode. Who's the show now? And then Ep 4, I really love. We'll get into it, but yeah. So the first 3 episodes were wild. I didn't know where we were going. I don't know if folks that played the game might have had a different experience, but I assume this worked exactly as the writers were intending on me, because I was like, they're going to kill Joel.
Thank you. Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think a lot of people were surprised how quickly they killed him off in in the second season. Not giving him a little more time, a little more boiling. We mentioned that in a couple of previous reviews of the other previous episodes, and mentioned how we thought maybe they might have killed him off halfway point, maybe not so quickly. But
Mhm.
I hear you. All right, Nick, your thoughts on the first 3 episodes, sir, leading into episode 4.
Yeah, so similarly, I never played the video games, but I have a good number of friends who do a lot of streaming, and so I've watched a lot of the gameplay, which was something that always kind of stood out to me. As far as just everything looks so impressive. I do some gaming, but watching how fluid a lot of the gun work is, and getting over things, and how you can distract different people, is very intuitive. So it's something I always kind of admired, and definitely drew me into watching the show. And whether it's the clickers and all sorts of crazy zombies, it was definitely a big allure there. But similarly, I didn't think that Joel was going to go that early in the season, in the same sense that the first season took some artistic liberties, whether it's adding characters and storylines in to really kind of deepen the sense of the world there. I was hoping we'd maybe get 4 or 5 episodes with Joel, personally, because I think that these first 3 episodes, it's kind of been like a roller coaster for me. There have been some pretty high moments, whether it's Joel, whether it's just hordes of zombies coming after you, some really intense emotional work from Bella Ramsey. I think there have also been a few slower moments. That first episode, I was like, okay, we're kind of getting reestablished into this world. We're a little bit further ahead. The first episode was a little slow for me. I was like, I think things are going to ramp up next episode. And then they really did. And so I was kind of like, oh, shit. I was like, can this work without Pedro Pascal? And I think that it can. And I've seen flashes of it so far in 3 and 4, where I'm like, okay, whether we double down on this or whether we get a little bit more of this emotion from Bella Ramsey, there's been some flashes of brilliance for sure. And so similarly, this 4th episode really started to connect with me, I think, and really has shown me that they can move in a direction that continues to be interesting, that doesn't feel as much of that absence of Joel.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Yeah, once again, going back to, Pedro Pascal being killed off so quickly, Joel, it was a huge shock for a lot of people, I feel. And then some people, I think, were probably they're probably like weren't shocked by it. They were like thinking, oh, I know how this show is working after the first season. They like to just throw it out there, and why not do that, kind of deal. So I definitely get that. So going to the rest of the panel, I just want to get your guys' thoughts leading up to this 4th episode, where you're at, and kind of what your thoughts are going into this 4th episode. I'll start with you, Jay Rent.
Well, I just like a couple of people here, I've never played the game before. But to a lot of people, they did really good as far as trying to be close to the game. And going into this, not playing the game and having these episodes come up, it felt like they killed him soon. But also with them doing that very soon, it kind of makes you wonder, like, in the aspect of like not knowing the game, like, well, where do you go from here? It's got to be really good if they killed him off this early. Like, everything's got to build up, and that's what they've done. They're doing this build up. They're giving us a little bit, and they did the same thing, for this episode coming up. Last time we did the episode, it was like, it was kind of like a filler episode. I think that's kind of what the feel was last time. Everybody thought it was a little boring, and we thought this new episode was going to be like better picked up, and I think it was a little bit. And I think we got a lot of like video game references, if I'm not mistaken, in this episode here. And I'm okay where it's at. I want to see, the big come down on there. So I'm okay with everything so far.
Excellent. Jeff, same question, sir. Your thoughts leading up to episode 4.
Yeah, the show's been really up and down. Episode to episode, it's been really up and down. And obviously, episode 2 was like a total banger. Like the infected are awesome as a part of the element of the show. Like anytime that they focus on the infected, I really dig that. That's really that's probably like what I find to be the most entertaining out of like everything that happens on the show is the stuff involving the affected. I miss Pedro Pascal, of course, already. Just like everybody else. I really wish they would have kept him around farther into this, second season than how they decided to do it. Obviously that's a decision they felt they had to make, I was okay with episode 4 for the most part. I thought it was a good bounce back from a filler episode sort of episode with episode 3, it was a good bounce back, in terms of like energy, tone, I think Nick's right. I think the show looks good. Like you could critique the acting and critique the, the story and stuff like that if you want and pick that apart. But like the attention to detail that's paid to make the post-apocalyptic United States, look a certain way, like a certain old, worn out way. It's good. It's there, from scene to scene, you see it, it's very well done. It's the show's really well shot, even though it is pretty dark at times, especially a lot of the infected stuff can get dark, but it's still well shot, at least season 1 there was a lot of colors, it was, it's been a solid show. I don't know how the whole season's going to unfold. Season 2 yet, we'll have to see, but so far through episode 4 I'd say I'm 50-50 with the show. I'm kind of it's been hit or miss with the episodes, like I said. So the show can bounce back, but it's tough without Joel there. I don't know if they're going to start doing any kind of flashbacks with him or anything like that. They did have that big 5-year time jump, right, from season 1 to season 2. That they had that whole realm of memories from that period that they can play with. So we'll see, I guess. Episode 4 was an adequate episode. It was pretty decent.
All right, thank you. Mr. Pop Culture Guy, same question.
Yeah, so just like everyone here, I'm pretty new to this show. I'm not a big video game, so wasn't familiar with the lore and all that from the video game. So I'm pretty much just a TV viewer, and I'm very impressed. I mean, I brought up before from episode 1 of season 2 of the show. That I'm a huge apocalypse guy, / zombie guy. So, I mean, me, Jeff covered the Walking Dead universe, and I love zombies, Sandra. Like that part got me into the horror, Sandra, in general. So I think the show really is a good zombie show. I really love the characters. I like the world building we got here, which is very unique. And so far the season 2, I'm enjoying it. I'm with it. I mean, it's pretty much what happened in part 2. It's just like, it's different, how they're interpreting it, like the games and how different it is, so it's very intriguing. And I mean, everyone's putting their heart to this show, which is good. And of course I agree with Jeff that of course I miss Joe. I mean, because Pedro Pascal was such a great actor. And it was always going to be tough, but I think the show has a lot of like tricks in their sleeves that we're not yet seeing. I mean, the fact that we got, it's not spoilers here, but like Jeffrey Wright in the show is like, oh my god, that's a big deal. And obviously I know he's from the video game, and so that's kind of cool. So I'm really excited to see the development of like, oh my god, L taking down Abby in the group, who killed Joe. I'm just curious how long they're gonna take that and drag, because we know we're getting the 3rd season, But yeah, I'm very excited about the new development we got here in this episode, and so I'm still with the show.
All right, excellent, thank you, sir. Great job by everyone. 1 billion points for everyone on the panel at this moment. So moving on to the actual episode itself. That's a great opening for you guys. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts. So, like I said, called Day One. So we start off in 2018, and Isaac Dixon kills his Federal Disaster Response Agency squad and switches allegiance to WLF. And then it brings us basically 11 years later. Isaac, now the WLF's leader, interrogates and later kills a Seraphite who refuses to share his group's location. So we'll stop there because that kind of encompasses that whole beginning little section there. Of course, that's where we, the beginning of 11 years later, we're back to Ellie and not Abby. What's the other one's name?
Dina.
Dina, thank you. To them, and they're like searching for supplies, and they come across the Monostat 7, which that was just so lovely. They're looking for stuff, and then they start making their way, and they notice, of course, the WLF sign on top of a satellite, and like, maybe we should go that way. Maybe wait till dark type of deal. And then, of course, we have the interrogation of an introduction of a great master actor, who, of course, we all, have loved his voiceover work and, What If for Marvel. And stuff like that, which is great. I think he was a perfect choice to bring into this show. I absolutely love him. I think he's a fantastic actor. Always plays really good villains, always plays just really good characters and all that kind of good stuff. But he's just one of those kind of characters that I think he always brings it to the T. Always just really, brings all his characters, even his character in kind of the Daniel Craig James Bond arc too. Jeffrey Wright is
Felix.
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright is fantastic. So he's always fun to watch. So I think
he's so consistent.
Yeah, he always plays good characters, and I think that right off the bat here, the very beginning, and then this interrogation scene with him, this is where the show kind of brings back that energy that Jeff was talking about and gives us some solid, good, like, funness to the episode. So stopping at his interrogation of that Seraphite, what are your guys' thoughts on the beginning of the episode? Was there anything you found particularly interesting, and just overall kind of your thoughts leading up to his interrogating that gentleman who happens to be naked and showed his dick, which was, I'm sure happy for some people, but, I don't get why the guy was naked. But anyways, starting with you, Andres.
I'm sure Andres liked it.
Fuck you. No, that was traumatizing. I'm a man, okay? I have nothing against, the other side. I'm equal person, but I was like, when we got to that scene, I was like, what the fuck? What is this?
It felt pretty accurate, I would say, to military torture style. So if you think Zero Dark 30 and
because they want to end that scene on the dehumanization on the guy going fucking animals and like showing that, and so I assume that was just as a dehumanizing thing.
You strip him down, you humiliate him,
and also that guy's utterly defenseless, like fight naked defenseless.
Yeah, I know, but hey. I mean, if you guys haven't seen Eastern Promises,
oh my god, that is that's a fucking crazy.
So I can see people can naked really fast. Plus, speaking, I know. And speaking of Cassine, his role in the James Bond series, like that also reminded me that like when James Bond got stripped down and Mad Mixon, like the chief like tortured him. I was like, what the hell? But anyway, so the beginning sequence was really awesome. I was so happy that we got Jeffrey Wright as our great host here, Jeff Cyber has brought up before. He's a great actor. I mean, he's in so many great movies. Obviously we brought up the James Bond role. He's great in Shaft as the villain. If you know, he's also with Batman himself, Christian Bale, which is hilarious. But anyway, and he's a great television actor as well. I mean, Westworld. I mean, come on, like he's amazing in that. And I was surprised to see this background. And I kind of like that because you kind of want to understand where did the wolves come from, like from the beginning before, because we understood from the last two episodes that this is like the last regime from the Fireflies, and there's like this new like military like regime like from the ashes, right? And so it was really cool to see that like unfolding. It's like, okay, Jeff Wright is going to join this group to stop the this other military group that we see in the first season that Joel was in, and before he left to take Ellie to the Fireflies. So it was like really cool, more in depth to the lore of the Last of Us. One crazy thing is, speaking of the naked guy, we got this other thing that I was not expecting, the cameo for Josh Peck from Drake and Josh. I was like, what he's doing here? And like,
That's who that is. Yep.
yeah, I was when he started talking, I was like, no way, they got him here. It is Josh Peck, great actor. He's very funny, and I like his story. And of course, when you see Jeffrey Wright, you see how like very different he is towards that story about like the ritual way of life. We're voters, and then after the apocalypse, it means nothing anymore, in that world. So it was really interesting, like comparing and contrast to like the old, the new world versus the old world that they were like coming from. And man, when like Jeffrey Wright just like was a bad motherfucker, he was like, all right, I got my friends here. He just quickly throw the grenades, killing Josh Peck. I was like, what the hell? And then he shoots the one driver, and then you get the kid. He like pull out, and he did the Magneto thing, and like, oh, it's your choice now, sir. Join me or not. And yeah, and that really great sequence there. And then you get the then we come back to the present day, seeing our protagonists rolling to like Seattle, which is great. I appreciate that. Like I like we're not taking this too long of like getting to like the location, because that's always something that some shows have a problem with, and I never like Walking Dead had this problem sometimes. Like, okay, we're here, and we stay a little too long. I'm like, okay, just pick up the pace. I get what you're trying to hear. Just thankfully we're pacing ourselves here, and we're allowing our characters to find what like, okay, what's this like world that they haven't really know? Like they've been sheltered for like the last 5 years, and they don't know what's going on out there besides the infected, the clickers, So this is new territory for Ellie and her the partner, and it's refreshing to see like what they know and what they don't not know. And then just wrapping up, the interrogation was almost like almost Skyfall, or like the senior main villain talking to the scars, which we got introduced 2 episodes ago, if I remember correct, or last episode, if I remember correctly, right? Like, okay, like, all right, this is the scars. We saw the group that had the scars, that was like the glass full smile, and I was like, I mean, yeah, naked. I was like, okay, makes sense. You're torturing him, and then he's talking about this like fine, thing, like, these, pipes or pans, you cook with the kitchen, like great dialogue. And then, man, when he grabbed it and like got so, push it in his hand, I was like, oh dear, really, like, okay, like he's mean business. And then the second time he got really angry. He's like, give me the locations. And then the raising that right hand, I was like, oh my god, that's why you did that. And then, like, of course, you shoot him as a dog, showing that he's basically Amino. Like he doesn't, like he's just trying to find this like a next attack that is against his people, right? And I really love that touch of the scene where you saw the kid that he spare and tell him just join which side you should be on. And I was like, whoa. And he's like, he's going to be like what those crazy like side characters we know from those apocalypse, like from like Negan's former friend, the car wreck from Dead City, or all those like typical things. So yeah, overall I really like the sequence. It got me into the episode really good, and I'm very excited where we're going to go moving forward to discussing this episode.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Very well done. All right, moving over to you, Nick. Your thoughts, sir, on the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, I thought bringing Josh Peck in was a good little not switcheroo, but they bring in someone familiar, they put you at ease. It's like, okay, we're getting a flashback, or at first maybe I didn't realize it was a flashback too. You bring in Jeffrey Wright, he starts telling the story, and it kind of builds onto that lore of Fedra and how they're viewed in the future, and whether the government was really going to be taking care of you, and really they cared about the people or not. And clearly listening to some of the Young Boots stories, it's like, okay, you're going to call them voters, you're going to call them these things that, similar to maybe when the guy is naked and being interrogated, we're going to strip away something that held meaning for them. And voters almost like not a slur, but it's a negative term. It's something that we say to put people down, because we're going to be taking away their liberties. We're going to be taking away their choices and their freedoms. And I think that they cleverly play around with the scars as well. When Jeffrey Wright's starting to cook food, all that time later, I was like, okay, I thought he was going to start cooking food. I was like, okay, he's bringing in a good little monologue. Maybe we're getting the cut to later. Who's he going to be talking to? And then you're like, oh, wow. Okay, things are pretty grim and dark right here. He's got the scar there. And, you're looking at this moment, and they really do set it up well for kind of what you see the scars are maybe capable of later on in the episode. And setting up things the episode before, you're like, oh my God, I feel bad for these people. They're being hunted and slaughtered. I don't know by whom. And now Jeffrey Wright's here dehumanizing him. And I think the second time he grabbed the pan in frustration, a great shot. By the time he turned around, the hand was already out. I'm not going to tell you where we are. Telling him every day, one of your people leaves to join us. And every day, none of us ever leave. And at that rate, it's only a matter of time before your numbers are dwindling. And, post-apocalyptic, is a big Fallout fan for the games, now the show for years. The idea of all these different rivaling factions, much like you might have rivaling religions or different trains of thought. Who's right? Who is the most moral? Who's going to restore order? Everybody does it in their own way. And in this world, things are pretty brutal. Kill or be killed. I think it set a great tone for, even if you thought Fedra's bad, the WLF is not that much better. The Fireflies themselves might not be that much better. It's really hard to have a moral compass in this world, and that's something that I think that maybe I'm waiting for as far as developing things with with Ellie. And understanding, maybe letting Dina into, why would this man have killed for you the way he did? And obviously, she'll have a better understanding of that later. But I thought it was great. And then getting them into Seattle. I live in the Seattle area, so it's been interesting to see the representation there. They've done a good job with the nature and some of the streets, and of course, they get to Capitol Hill, which famously here is a pretty LGBTQ friendly place. So seeing the pride flag, seeing those, Ellie being a lesbian, having, maybe not an understanding, showing that disconnect again of she's not that old, and it's not that far from when some of these topics were culturally relevant before the fall of humanity there. And so I think they're playing well with the pace of it. I'm glad, like you said, Andres, I'm glad they did kind of milk getting to Seattle. Funnily enough, I was like, they're already there. I was like, at the end of that episode, I was like, damn, okay, we're fast traveling. But I was like, oh, that's cool though. I don't need to see him trekking in the woods for 4 episodes. So I think that they're getting better with that pacing in this episode. They can have some of those slower, serious moments like the interrogation, and then they can have, some moments where Ellie and Dean are still kind of getting accustomed. Like you said, they've never been exposed to this world, especially when you get out to the West Coast and you're by the ocean, you're out of the mountains, you're in the woods. It looks totally different. And so I enjoy that aspect of them kind of being able to find some pleasures in that world, pun intended there. But, whether it's playing the guitars, finding relics of the past and being able to kind of get in tune with that, it's fun to see how they interact for what is pretty normal, or considered normal for us now. So I thought it was a solid opening for sure.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Good job. Going over to you, Jeff. Your thoughts, sir, on the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, the introduction of Jeffrey Wright into the show. It was good to see. It was a nice addition, to kind of bolster the overall cast, and kind of expand the show a little bit, with Joel gone. Dad, shut the fuck up. Sorry. The scenes with with Jeffrey Wright's character, and his unit or whatever were really, really well done. I liked them. They were very enjoyable. Seeing Seattle, with Ellie and Dina, and everything, it was cool. I think that they're kind of naive or stupid to be stepping to the wolves or whatever, this organization or whatever, on their own. I think they're kind of fucking stupid, to be honest with you. And obviously we'll get into that later, but the whole dynamic with I guess the different parties in Seattle, the one group, that we saw from the forest, the Scars or whatever, and then you got the Wolves or whatever, that all that, all that stuff's interesting. It's all interesting. Overall, I felt like, the introductory part of the episode was just really kind of low key, then you had the interrogation, and that was pretty deep. Total HBO to go with complete straight female, or male nudity, they HBO does that. That's just HBO, right? Can't be surprised with that. That's pretty much it, Cyber.
All right. Thank you, sir. Great job. Going over to you, Jay Ranch. Your thoughts, sir, on the beginning section.
It was interesting. I didn't know what to expect. They're in that Hummer tank. I don't even know what kind of vehicle that is. They start the monologue with the soldiers talking or officers talking. Starting off with a joke, and then they are talking about voters, and then they go into what a voter is, and they give you an explanation. I think they did that really well to, let us know what a voter is, to tell us, to explain it. They come to that little stoppage on the road with the bus in the way. Have no idea what's going on. Again, they're going into this as brand new, never seen the game. So having him come out of there and, they're like, oh man, he's committing suicide going out there. He's let me go talk to these guys, and see what goes out there. And they kind of know him already, and he tells that one guy to come out. And I guess that guy was new, right? That was the one who asked what a voter was. Why do they call him that? So he was newer to the group. So I guess he felt that he was going to be someone that he could give an opportunity to, but we don't really know that yet at that part. He just tells him to come out thinking that he just needs assistance.
He's still green.
Yeah, you might learn something is what he tells them, or sit there and learn something, or basically giving him opportunity since he's not. Maybe he thought he wasn't corrupted like the rest of the guys, just coming into it. Then we see him, kind of have this understanding, and he goes to the vehicle and gets the grenades, throws them in there. Guys don't have enough time to react, what the hell? And then he closes it up and finishes them off. And I was like, oh, okay. And yeah, that actor is a great actor. I just like everybody said here, he's awesome. James Bond, or one of the first ones I thought was Westworld. That came to mind. Yeah. Westworld. I like that show.
He could switch up really well. He could be a good dude, and he could be a real bad dude.
Yeah, he's got that voice, he's got that radio voice. So it just sounds good when he talks. And another point that Jeff said, HBO, they like to show dicks. It's a HBO thing, they show dicks. It's okay. I'm not staring at it or hitting the pause button, but
It's the golden ratio at HBO. They're like, for every 100 pairs of boobs that we show on our TV shows, you have to show
I don't
at least
remember
one penis.
I don't remember seeing any boobs recently on there.
I think it goes between all It's a collective HBO agreement. You might not get boobs in some show, but you will get.
They're like, where can we put dicks in? I guess we can do it at this part. That's probably the only thing we can think of. Okay, just make sure it's in there, all right? Right? The interrogation scene, it didn't do nothing for me. I just kind of watched it, and he does his acting. It's great. I thought he was cooking too. You see him with the pan. You think it's just some type of simple intro to like him thinking over something. Then we realize it's him going to use that for something else, and he's just beating up on this skinny. What did you say? What is a Seraphite? What is it?
Yep.
Seraphites, right? I think that's what their cult's called or whatever.
Yeah, and then
I don't know a ton about them yet.
Great acting, and the guy, he tells him to stick out your hand, right? And so he sticks out his hand and burns the shit out of him. And then there was that point to where like he keeps asking him in the Seraphite, like I think if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if I saw this wrong, but he stuck out his hand on his own, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and that basically was just saying, go ahead, burn me. And at that point is when he realized that there was no point in keeping him alive, because he is off. Like, hey, go just keep burning my hand, dude. Here's my hand again. And that's when he decided to shoot him. And that's what I got from that. It's like, you know what? He realized when he kept putting his hand out for him to burn him, he was like, yeah, there's no point in keep doing this, because he's just going to keep doing that. As far as for those points there, good start, great actor. I was very happy with the episode. It had some interesting dynamics that kind of happened later on that were silly. But those two scenes right there were good scenes.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Going over to you, Les. Your thoughts on the beginning of the episode, sir.
So Jeremy brought up a lot of stuff that I also loved about that. One of the concerns that I was always going to have when they kill a major character or do any kind of time jump or anything coming into season 2 was, who's the new focus of this show for me? What is my new show? And the risk is always, we've all seen a show where you're like, I don't care about these fucking people. Where are my people? And so that's a risk. So I was really amazed that like throwing Jeffrey Wright in is always going to help. But we jumped right in, and I was like, shit, I'm immediately like wondering what's up with these Fedra guys. God, I watch too much Letterkenny. Fedra guys, and what's going on there. And the story Peck's telling has that vibe of like when you're new at a job or working with a new crew of people and you're first learning the inside jokes, like the ones that everybody else has heard in the break room 50 times and they just like know when to laugh, but you don't yet. And like that was the vibe I got off New Kid. And so when Wright was like, hey, audience proxy out here, learn something, I thought that was really cool. And I, once we know what's really about to happen in that scene, I thought it was cool to realize that I think Isaac looked back in there and went, oh, this dude hasn't actually learned how to be part of them yet. I can pull him out and see if he wants to be part of this. And like still checks his work, like make your choice, man. I will turn and shoot you in the street if you choose wrong. But that was cool. And then like that opening that, and then like where you chose to stop, Cyber, like it closes so nicely on that same, like realizing in the hall, like, holy shit, that empty-eyed psycho is the same sweet kid from the back of that truck. Damn. Like the last 10 years have been hard on you and probably just as hard on Jeffrey Wright. He's just not wearing it as badly. And I thought that was really cool and got me into the show in a way that, even though we blew up that truck of people, got me into a like, dude, who are these fucking what is this Hatfield and McCoy shit going on? Who are you idiots? Because one of my things in season 1 was that Fedra sucks, but I'm pretty sure the Fireflies don't have their shit together and will get you all killed. Like in that first couple of episodes before they're leaving, I'm like, okay, I mean, I don't think they should be in charge. I don't think you guys should be in charge either. And so seeing them roll into Seattle and like, oh, so this is what happens when your Fireflies win and then they split or however that went down. Like one of the things that's been kind of riding with me the whole show is that anytime a human kills another non-infected human, that loss is so much larger. Like there's only so many people on Earth to keep from having like upside down face kids and shit. And like, you can't shoot other normal people. Like you shouldn't turn against each other. Like there's cordyceps. They're the problem. And so like seeing a town that like, nope, you defeated one set of schmucks, but then you tore yourselves apart, was cool. And yeah, I loved the Jeffrey Wright can just deliver the shit out of a line. The like Williams Sonoma, you wouldn't know. Like
stainless steel handle.
Yeah, and it's the little things. Like I thought all that was great. And then yeah, Jay Rent, what you said of like the silent understanding of like we've all watched shows that definitely don't trust the audience at all and feel like somebody has to say out loud every motivation to everything. But when that dude put his hand out and I was like, torture's over. Like you can't get shit out of that dude.
Yeah.
Like he's just telling you right now, like if the guy grabs the poker away and puts his own eye out, like, well, fuck. All right. And that right, like, yeah, I see you. Shoots him, just boom. I thought it was a really tight opening. I thought it was cool. And it's I think part of why this episode started to pick up for me, where like people said after fucking episode 2, like a Battle of Helm's Deep killing Joel and shit. To have like a falling action episode of like, I don't know what we're doing in Ep 3. I feel like I'm standing at a wake for a fucking family member. What are we doing here? It really started to help me ramp back into Ep 4.
Do you guys feel like because I agree, I think he did feel or get the sense that, you know, I can torture you all I want, but you're not going to give up your people. You're not going to give it up. That story that Josh Peck is telling, bringing in the voters, this whole idea, this one commander guy, whoever it was, undertones of, you know, brutality and abuse of power and all these kinds of things. And that, you know, seems to be pretty frequent with Fedra and how you hear they handled some of the disasters or how you distributed things to people. And Isaac, at least back then, it's like, all right, cool. You're already kind of dehumanizing people. You think you're superior to people. You've got no problem laughing at this joke at the expense of kind of like what you were saying, Les, like a human life, an uninfected life in this world matters.
And I think you're right. I think at the start of the scene, Isaac doesn't like that story. And at the end of the scene, he's a lot like that dude, right?
And so in my head, I'm like, does he stop and shoot the guy before? Obviously, the two guys outside are like, no, this is already getting pretty screwed up and sounds pretty intense. Is he trying to stop himself because he knows he's already gone so far in those 11 years, keeping himself from going a bit too far there? I thought that was a really interesting, a quick parallel where it's like, all right, this guy's starting great. Let me save the other guy. And then, well, you're not that much better than what you were probably advocating against, you know?
Yeah. Well, in that speech back, I had just watched, I'm in like the middle of season 2 of Game of Thrones right now, and just watched Rose Byrne, I think, no, that's not the actress' name. Anyway, Free Person says to Jon Snow, like basically that exact argument of like none of us decide to be celibate and go up on the wall, but every year a couple of you fucks come down here, so we're eventually going to win. And like it's like you can see it hit right. I also like their little tit for tat back and forth of like, I'm not fucking playing this with you, man.
Yeah.
Like you broke the treaty. You broke the treaty. You broke the treaty. You broke the treaty.
Broke it first. But you killed the kid first. So like, yeah, but then you killed the other kid.
To shoot it. Yeah.
Well, it's like, so you both shoot kids. You both kill kids is what I'm getting from this.
Yeah.
Like,
and I thought it was a cool opening. Got me right into the episode.
Excellent. Thank you. Great back and forth there too, guys. Great thought points and great points there. Another billion points to everyone on the panel. All doing a great job tonight. You guys are great. Anyways, my brief thoughts on the beginning. Yeah, starting off with this kind of this, introduction to Jeffrey Wright's character really got me into the episode. I was kind of happy about that. When it went to 11 years later and to Ellie and to Dina, I was like I could totally do without this. I don't need this. And then going back to the interrogation, then I was like, ooh, this is good again. I mean, we're getting some action here. We're getting some craziness here. Yes, Jeffrey Wright, do your thing, sir. So I that's pretty much all I have for the beginning. I just thought that, it starts off pretty decent. It's got some decent things going, and it kind of, at our endpoint, it kind of got decent again as well. So moving on from there, we get back to the story here. Ellie and, Dinah's first day in Seattle sees them stumble upon the remains of the conflicts between Fedra and the WLF. They hide out in a music store where Ellie serenades Dina. At night, they stumble upon several WLF soldiers brutally murdered by the Seraphites and invade an incoming WLF backup squad. So we'll stop there before we go any further. So what are you guys' thoughts on that section of the episode? Kind of that slow point, I feel, until we get to them finding the dead WLF people. What were your thoughts on that leading up to them finding these dead people from the Seraphites and hearing the incoming WLF backup squad? And this time I'll start with you, Les.
As I understand it, the even down to the same song licensing, like Take On Me, like that whole segment's in the game, right? I'm pretty sure. Which is just wild to me. I keep forgetting that the game is so many cutscenes. But I thought one of the things that's been working for me this season is this idea that Ellie is the badass with asshole voice to Dina. Like, she's her Joel. And Dina's more the tie to humanity that Ellie was to Joel in season 1, while she's on what is basically a mission of fucking vengeance. And so I thought that was cool. And seeing this, you can see the moment in the scene where they fall in love. And it feels weird in a zombie show, but also it's really a show about why to keep fighting. So it's got to be about love and connection and other humanity. I really thought the actress that played Dina sold it well in the guitar scene. And I am a child of the 80s and 90s and happen to like Aha. So the song choice cracked me up. Also, I liked her kissing the silica gel packet of like, oh, thank you. Like, acoustic guitar should not have survived. Because there's like 2 other guitars in the back that are just rotted to shit. And then them getting into the like discovering those bodies, as I understand, I think is also a shot from the game. This episode, I think, got a lot of those, just weirdly. But I'd seen on a behind the scenes thing that all of the bodies hanging are not mannequins. Those are stunt people in harnesses. I don't know why they went to that extra shit, but wild. I can't believe the thoroughness that HBO goes to on their shows. But I thought that was a cool scene. I kind of wish that the bodies had been more impactful. There's a scene later we'll discuss with, I'm sure, easier fake bodies that got me more. But the thing that happened in the scene that cracked me up that I was right later was that I don't know why, but it's a law. I think it's like a federal law that if any woman throws up on television during daylight hours, they are pregnant. I don't make the rules. But Dina throws up, and because it's an apocalypse and we're seeing a lot of corpses, she has to do it like twice.
Sure.
But Dina throws up in the middle of the day like twice, and is like, oh, I don't know, I'm not normally like that. And like, you are TV pregnant. Yes, you are. Like later on, you're going to be very pregnant, and when you give birth to that child, the water will break on camera. like in an elevator. It's just TV rules.
It's always gonna be somewhere convenient.
Yeah. And so it cracked me up that like that was the moment in that scene of like, you are pregnant, which was not, I don't think, quite the focus of that scene. But it was still, I don't know. I always kind of enjoy that the show's got like a lot of shit going on. I guess I should expect the writer of Scary Movie 4 to thread these things beautifully. But oh, and Kate Herron, I had to look it up too. This is bothering me. Loki, Sex Education, and Daybreak. If anybody else remembers, like
Great shows.
whatever one season zombie show. I think one season. Anyway,
Excellent.
but yeah, that's all I got on that segment. I thought it was very much a roller coaster of like a lurch back and forth in tone from like one half to the next. But this whole episode feels like there's a seam, and we'll get to.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. All right. J-Rent, same question, sir. Your thoughts on that section?
That's kind of some of the boring stuff for me. That part, I don't really care for the dialogue and scenes with both of them together. I think with them together, it's like the love scene for the that we see, and I'm not really interested in that part of this show, or much less the series. You know, you were here to watch zombies and stuff like that, but you know, we got to get this. We see them, you know, and we see her see the guitars, and she reminisce, and all of a sudden she grabs the guitar, and you know, it's perfectly tuned. I think I'm not too sure. I don't remember.
She tunes it, but yeah, it is astonishingly in good shape.
You know, surprisingly, she can tune it by ear really well. I think, right? If I'm not mistaken, there was just something off about that. I felt, you know, I love children. You know, child of the '80s as well. I love '80s music. So you know, you know, I like that song, and I like the slow version of it, the acoustic version, right? Is that what you would call it? Kind of, you know, didn't mind hearing that, her sing it. She sung okay. I don't know if that was that, but you know, but then we get that goofy scene where, you know, her girlfriend hears it and she's just like, you know, sitting there like, oh yeah, play some more, you're so good, you know. And I don't know if it's in somewhere in this part where I think it is, because she mentioned the throwing up about her being pregnant. I think this is where she finds out she's pregnant, right?
It's later.
No?
Yeah,
No.
it's later.
That was later.
Was it?
She might have snagged the stick before.
In
I was trying to...
sneaking through the pharmacy, they I think the camera lingers on it.
Oh yeah.
So they're kind of setting it up a little to breadcrumbs for you. Or she snagged something.
She had like 30 of those sticks, right? She had like a collection of them.
Oh my god! When they're we'll get to it. When they're going through them later, like she peed on all of those.
She's like, you pee on it, and she was like, well,
you're holding just a handful of things she peed on. Yes.
that was goofy, but I was like, okay. So then this isn't the part where she's like, I'm gonna be a dad, and I was like, what the
hell? That's after she gets bitten, and
that's right. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, up in the head. Okay, I kind of meshed some of these scenes together as far as some of the unpleasant ones that I didn't really care for, but you know, that scene was the only thing I liked about it was the music, a little bit of it, them hiding from the, you know, discovering the people hanging up there. I was like, oh, okay, and then, you know, going through that, but not much me here on this one. I'm just waiting to get to the next part.
All right, thank you, sir. Jeff, your thoughts on that section?
I mean, I don't really have a lot to offer on that. It's really boring. A lot of that, like that stuff. The stuff where it's Ellie and Dina together, I don't care for. Like J-Ret said, I'm not really. It doesn't really do a lot for me. I don't want to like. I normally like you know, like lesbian, you know, like dyke, you know, action, you know, like on screen. You know what I'm saying? But for some reason with you know. Bella Ramsey, I don't care for it with her. I don't know why, but I don't care for it. Like I don't want to see it with her and Dina. You know, like I love her in Game of Thrones. She's great, you know, but you know, this version of her, adult version of her, You know, she's like, I think she's like, you know, in real life, I think she's like God, one of those, like, you know, she's not transgender, but she's like, you know, something.
Non-binary.
Not binary, yes. She's not binary. But yeah, you know, them, like, them finding those bodies and everything is pretty dope. If that happened in the games, that's pretty cool. You know, but I don't really, again, I don't have much to say about that section really. I you know, I like that song, but you know, I could have done less with that scene. You know, it didn't really do a lot for me. So but episode 4 picks up after that, though. So that's all I got, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Going to you, Andres, pop culture guy, Toxic Avenger Man. What are your thoughts, sir?
Okay. I want to say about this. I mean, this section is important to develop the relationship. I mean, this is part of the game, so I have to say that it's different from the game, because in the game, I seen briefly the game through for the first half, and they know each other, and so this is kind of different from the games where they're sort of developing their relationship, and you know, we'll get later on to the episode, you know, something kind of twisty happened that I was like not expecting, because that like comes way later in the game. So but yeah, so yeah, the music, her singing is from the game, you know, confirming that she, you know, did had some, you know, genuine moments with Joe. So I was kind of surprised we got that part here, because you know, we were talking about the flashbacks, when we're gonna have flashbacks with Joe. I was kind of surprised this episode we got our first flashback, but it's not with Joe, which I don't mind. I kind of like that, you know, just kind of set us off, you know, balance, because you know that is always the thing with the part 2 that I heard that, you know, there's a lot of flashbacks with, you know, with Joe. So I kind of like that we get more of like a dialogue from Ellie about like, yeah, I had, you know, this guitar lesson with Joe, and you know, it was a father-daughter moment. So yeah, you know, I like the other actress that played Nadine, because she's a great actress. I mean, she was in Alien Ramis. She was in, you know, she played Dora. If you've seen the movie Dora, the Lost Ghost City, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
she was great.
I love that movie.
Yes,
She's gonna
Forgot
be
she was
Hawk
Dora.
Girl.
yes, Shocker,
cool.
Superman.
Dora, you like Dora?
Yeah, she's gonna be this
She's-
July. So I care more about her storyline, I think, than Ellie right now, because it's like, you know, because with her it's like there's a lot of more stakes and angst, because I knew, as Les talked about, you know, I knew from last episode, I was like, when she threw up with the scars people were dead, I was like, is she pregnant?
Yeah,
Because
that's the other one. Yes.
yeah, it was no way you get. I mean, some people cannot handle violence, but like, I mean,
You've grown
so-
up with this.
yeah,
Right,
she grew
you
up with
know.
that. And so in this episode, when we got to her with the you know, pharmacy, whatever she was at, I knew she was looking at the, you know, the pregnancy thing, and I was like, oh, okay, they're setting that up. So
Yeah.
so it wasn't a big shock, and you know, of course, that's part of the game too. You know, like she does get branded, but it's much later. So this, I was kind of, this is different from the game. Like the fact that doing it earlier, that's like actually good, because you're now raising the stakes now for Ellie to like now worry about. It's like, oh my god, like she's gonna be in. Like, I mean, the wolves are gonna easily kidnap her and like use that as like advantage to like stop Ellie from, you know, like there's a lot of story potential there.
Mhm.
Yeah, so overall it's an okay sequence. It's important because it's developing our main characters like love, which I'm fine with. I you know, it's like, yeah, do you want a spicy? It's just not that kind of relationship, you know. It's not like House with 13, her, you know, multiple relationships. You've seen House, the TV show. But I'm enjoying it. It's a, you know, it's, you know, I can take it or leave it, and it's a good character development for those characters, particularly Ellie, you know, because now you know, she needs to, you know, because everything, like part 2 is about revenge, right? But she also has to realize that it's also like, you also have to think about life too, you know, like, you know, you're living, you know, and so I think adding this early will make Ellie to kind of reconsider about her revenge against Abby, you know, and whatever, we'll get that at that point. So yeah, okay sequence, right now.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Going to you, Nick. Your thoughts, sir, on that section.
Yeah, I think I fall in line kind of with Les on this one, just in terms of fleshing out some of the emotional aspects of the story, giving you something, in this world. What does Ellie have to live for right now? She's violence, revenge. Her main drive is I've got to kill Abby for what she did to Joel, and I think Jeff kind of spoke to it earlier too. There is this aspect of naivety. These are two younger girls who have gone out on their own on this path of revenge. I think clearly Dina has an attraction to Ellie, has had that attraction, whether it was as a good friend, someone who wants to be supportive of her. So much so that she would trek all the way to Seattle to potentially risk her life for Joel, who obviously was kind to Dina as well. And I think that was an interesting aspect to start the season with. I think it's really hard for Ellie and a good motivator for her, this aspect of, it was kind of a dick to Joel right before he died. And you don't know when your last moment with somebody's going to be. And Ellie, of course, had been giving him the cold shoulder, didn't really understand. Joel reminds me of a lot of, grandfathers. I think of some of my Southern grandfathers. And it's a tough love. You're not always going to hear those words. Joel's not going to tell her, hey, I love you. Hey, you mean so much to me. I would kill an entire world for you. And that's what you mean to me. And he would, though. But for her, maybe that's what she needed to hear, because, Joel, obviously in his therapy sessions, it was kind of like, I protected her. I did what I needed to do. And she's not going to understand it, maybe. And I think on this journey, she's starting to wrestle with those feelings of, not having as great a relationship with Joel as she did. And you get to the moment where she finds the guitar, and you have a moment where Joel was trying to do something kind for you, where Joel was trying to connect, and you still kind of shunned it. And, for feeling his absence, I think it's great that you bring in Jeffrey Wright, because I think, again, it's good to have some star power there. I was like, I need someone else to be invested in who can bring something fresh to this show. But I think that, they're doubling down how they need to in terms of giving Ellie something more to fight for, giving her another perspective to entertain. I think that, again, being as young as they are in this completely hardened, awful world, it's very rare that you get to share a moment of silliness, of, peace, playing a simple song. These little things, these little moments that to us are probably pretty routine or feel pretty mundane maybe, but to them, to experience this new place, to go be able to sit down for Ellie to play that song. How much music do people really get to hear in this day and age? Are there people putting bands together? Is that a program? Is it a great use of time when you could be fortifying against the infected? And so I think it was an important moment to bring in, yes, because it deepens their attraction to one another. I think it is just a very human moment. Whether Bella Ramsey sounds perfect on the guitar, there's something about that confidence, though, and the confidence in yourself, or this is something I'm doing for myself. And I think Dina has always admired that in Ellie, much like how Ellie kind of admired that in Joel in a way. And so in this, relationship, Dina certainly is the more, I don't want to say dainty one, because obviously she's capping zombies and people and putting her life on the line. But Ellie is certainly more of the masculine character in that film. And it's maybe it was you, Les, or J. Ray, maybe who said it, where it was like Dina's looking at Ellie as this kind of tatted up guy who's singing Wonderwall. And, it's just like, this is the great, no one's ever played music.
No, if John Belushi had come down the stairs next to Ellie right then, he'd have smashed that. Right?
You bring some good points. You do. You make some good, valid points.
But it's, and I think sometimes I probably overanalyze too much, but there, whether it's one too many drinks or tokes over here in Seattle, as they mentioned, the place is crazy in the show. But I think sometimes it's like, do they ever, like, what is life life form out there. I know they got records, and I know they have things. They put on dances in the dance halls, but
no, but it's funny what they know and what they don't know. Though this segment got I think my favorite line of the show, of the episode. The fuck is wrong with Seattle?
Yes, that was so funny. Yeah,
my buddy and I were watching. We got a kick out of that because it's true.
Yeah.
It is so true. And then I think just as it ends and fades, we're gonna be smart. That's where I love. Ellie is just so consumed by rage and revenge, and Dina's like, "Hey, let me check you, bro. You think it's wise to go up here in the middle of the day on the street on a
Horseback?
We're gonna get picked off. Okay,
Right.
you know what? We should
Trying to get Shimmer killed? The fuck?
yeah.
And so, them walking up,
Good horse.
seeing those hanging bodies and entrails, all their insides completely hanging out. I was like, number one, I was like, that's fucked up, gross, horrible. Who could have done this? And it's like, oh my god. The guy who I just felt so bad for having his hand burned and stripped naked and whatever, I was like, they kill kids, so why isn't it conceivable?
Every faction sucks.
Yeah, and I was like, so I think it just real quickly, you're like, oh, man, nobody's good in this show, and that's why, as we move into this last portion of the episode, creating those stakes for Ellie, for Dina, giving us more of these moments to kind of care about them and their evolution, that naivety, them being younger women in this world, there's this sense of worry I feel like that I inherently have, where it's like, you're going to do something dumb, or please have a little more care for yourselves in these moments, or like, hey, I'm going to go down the hall, holler if you got one, we're going to go cap some zombies. And I'm like, you're so casual about this, and real quick it can become a grown man's world where enter backup from WLF coming here, who are going to discover these bodies, and clickers aren't the only thing you got to worry about right now.
No, same as Walking Dead. Like, that's other people. Yeah, other people are the
Walkers.
danger. I mean, honestly, without the spore problem, I think in the game you could get it from like spore clouds or some shit. So like, with absent that, like, honestly, you got to go someplace dangerous to get fucked here, right?
Yeah, because this series didn't adapt because I saw this in the video game in the game through. Actually, the air of the spores is toxic, and you have to wear gas masks, which they didn't adapt, which is I guess makes sense, because it's kind of like that's a little too much of like come on, like it's better that you get affected by the blood and all that. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but like something that you brought up with the tart thing, I forgot to mention, is it's a good payoff from last season, because he brought up, this is something from the game where he told Ellie, hey, after this you want me to teach you how to play the guitar. So that was a really great emotional payoff to hear that they actually, Joel did teach Ellie to tar lessons.
Yeah, because wasn't he out on the porch tuning it when he was like,
Yes.
Ellie was coming back
episode,
and like, fuck you, man, I'm going right into my room, and it's like,
I could get into their last.
And I'm sure she feels that, because especially in that moment, it's like, I just shut him down. I could have had what would have been a great, maybe last experience to share with him for that. And so I think they're doing a great job touching on that, where it's kind of melancholy. It's like, it's good that you get that emotional payoff. And then it's also like, oh, but it just kills me because Joel was trying. And I'm sure, trying in his own way. We can only do as much as we can. But obviously Ellie was being pretty standoffish. So there's only so much you can do. But I think they've progressed with stuff like that pretty well.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Great job, everyone. Very well done. Another billion points to everyone. Looks like we lost Jeff. I don't know where he went, but we will get back to him once he gets back. I don't know where he went. He didn't say anything, so must have lost signal or something. You never know. All these great technical glitches that happen. But anyways, just to kind of give my brief, thoughts on this section, I was just like J-Red. I found this whole section boring. Anything with them together, it just bores me. I could care less. I'm just like J-Red. I'm here for the zombies. I'm here for the action. I'm here for, blood and guts. That's what I want from a zombie TV show or a zombie show. If it plays to the cue to the storyline down the road that involves the zombies, then I get it. But when they're putting in a whole love story and it doesn't need to be there, they have to think about survival. They're in the survival world. They got to get revenge. There's so many other things they could be focusing on rather than their relationship. So I just think that kind of stuff is reserved for, stuff that really and matters, not in out of context, which we really don't need it in this show. I understand it's a part of the video game and everything, but at the same time, I'd never played the video games, and so I'm sure I would have probably never played the video games because they would have bored the hell out of me. So, it's one of those situations, where that, hey, it could be good, it could be bad, and that's just how it works. And I'm finding it very boring. This section was for me until we got to finding the dead bodies, which is when it started to pick back up. All right. So moving on. So where we left off is they were evading the incoming WLF backup squad. Then the two escaped the WLF and the infected in the subway. But Ellie is bitten while saving Dina. As they hide in an abandoned theater, a heartbroken Dina prepares to shoot Ellie, who explains that she is immune. So we'll stop there. We won't go into that other part yet. Basically we get this kind of, I think this was my favorite part, like when she starts pointing the gun at Ellie, I'm like, please shoot her. Please shoot her. I'll be down for that. Let's go completely rogue for the video game. Let's kill Ellie off too.
Well, they've got a third season and no third game, so what are we doing?
Yeah. So what can we do?
That's why I thought they'd give Pedro a little more leash. I was like, if you know you're going to get a third season, you better milk that man before this man puts the Mando helmet on again, and before you lose him entirely to Disney.
Right.
Definitely. So I was like, ooh, this is kind of cool, And then she finally explains to her that she's immune, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna go over well. And it really kind of doesn't at first because she's like literally, what's going on there? She's like watching over her as she sleeps. But the whole zombie chase sequence was really fantastic. I thought. I love that portion, as they're trying to flee and the zombies are coming and they're attacking, and even trying to get through the spinny gate, they're trying to get them, and stuff was really cool. So it really picked up for me here for that portion. I thought it was really good. And that entertained me seeing the zombies finally. So I'll go back to you, Jay Rent, first. What were your thoughts on this section, sir?
Yeah, it's where it started picking up a little bit. Kind of just getting all the way up to the point where they get to that little, what is that little rotating door, metal?
Mm-hmm. Turnstile thing, yeah.
Thingamabob. They get there, and we get to the part where she decides to put her hand, because obviously, we know, and she knows that she's immune. That, in that moment, her girlfriend is, sees it and like freaks out, but is like more freaked out just trying to get out of there. So the acting was really well, and that aspect of like what you would do, how you would react in that situation. I think the acting was well there for that. And then they get to a part like once she gets through and the zombies are trapped, she has that realization that she was bit, but like they need to get out of there. And so she doesn't just decide to do anything about it until they get to, a safe spot, and then Ellie, doesn't realize, that she's, that her girlfriend is going to have to kill her, because that's kind of like the thing they do. Like, you're bitten, we kill you, So I don't know why she failed to like be like, oh, by the way, I'm immune. Like, I feel like the way she mentioned that to her was a little off, because if I was immune and I did that, like, and trying to get away, I feel like, hey, now that we're here, I need to tell you something. I either tell you as I'm running, because I mean, how do you know that she's not gonna just kill you as you're running after you got bit? Like, why would you even wait for that aspect till you're alone to find out if she's going to shoot you? Like, I guess maybe she thought she had the common courtesy to, like, let her know, like, hey, I'm going to shoot you now, in that aspect. I wouldn't wait. I'd have been like, hey, I'm bit. I saved your life, but, I'm immune. They get to that point where she's like, I'm immune. and I know you don't believe me. You're freaking out. Let me, you know, I'm gonna sit over there. I'm not gonna turn. You know, just watch me overnight. You know, for the time being to make sure that you can see that I don't turn. And then we go through that aspect or that scene where, you know, she doesn't turn. And then her friend's like, oh, you know, that's crazy. You've been bitten before. And, you know, they go through the story of like how she deliberately burned one of her, like since she's been bitten before, you know, she didn't want it to be visible. I'm assuming for the townspeople everywhere that she's been.
That's why the tattoo and why the burn, why she cuts herself.
Yeah, it kind of goes into the explanation there. You know, she's like, I kind of wanted to. I was tired of wearing long sleeve shirts.
I thought that was a good line.
It was funny. It was okay. You know, I mean, you're giving me, I guess, a bit of information. You get the time together with them. You get a reveal for someone important to her about her being immune, which I guess is really important, you know, for that type of relationship. But at that point, she had no choice to tell her. She just did it. Wanted to save her life, and it was like a kind of do or die at that point. And that's kind of really all I got from that side.
All right, thank you, sir. Going back to you, Nick, your thoughts, sir, on that section.
Yeah, I thought that for me, having not played the game but being a big RPG guy, this is really where things felt like, okay, now we are in-game mechanics almost, as far as, okay, we're going to start sneaking back behind these desks as the WLF are coming in here. And I can picture top down, people are moving in and you need to sneak away undetected. You know, the tension's starting to build. You're hoping you don't back up into something. Maybe they'll get distracted. Is Ellie going to throw something to get some people away? You know, these are two girls with pistols and you got a full tactical outfit here. Who's like, these fuckers who killed our guys and, you know, pulled their insides out are still here. So fan out and let's get them. So it really just immediately, it's just like, oh, shit. You're like, this is going to suck. You've got to be stealthy. And with these two girls, I don't believe that they can keep the element of surprise for as long as is necessary. And so, you know, once they kind of start sneaking around, once they start getting some shots off, really starting to evade, you know, I think my heart rate starts building a little bit. I'm like, okay, all right, now we're moving. You get to the subway, you get by the train. Okay, if we can remain undetected, they're popping flares. Always a nice little visual for underground scenes there. As soon as you start hearing the clicking, it's like, oh man, no. And I love something I've noticed it the whole season when Dina, you watch her listen. She closes her eyes, and it's like she'll throw up a 1, 2, another clicker tone starts. There's a deeper growl, something. It's like, okay, we're at least at 5, and I'm like, this is going to be so much more. I love those. That's a little detail that I like about her a lot. As far as, okay, we need to be aware of what's happening around us, and then of course shit hits the fan. Massive horde of zombies comes out, is overwhelming those guys. It's like, great, quick distraction. Let's run. And again, another video game moment as soon as they get inside the train and you've got people busting in through the glass trying to grab them from the side. You're crouching, you're crawling, you're having to go up and down. Those are the tense moments that, especially in a zombie film or TV show, that I live for. Because this is like I'm like, you got to pick it up, run. Do not drop. When you drop something, do not go back for that, please. As you know, and the best thing about, I think, these clickers, World War Z zombies, 28 days later, the ones that just don't care and will run themselves into walls and through glass and cut themselves, lose a limb just to get to you. The relentlessness of that is frightening. And so again, it's like these two young, naive girls who are here getting some shots off, but it's like, you just need to keep running, go. As soon as they got to that turnstile, that's another moment where I'm like, this is, having not played the game, this is a button mashing, push to open, and you're looking over your shoulder, and you're just mashing X, pushing it as quick as you can to force this thing through. was like another great tense moment, of course. Ellie popping the arm in for the save. It's instinctual. Obviously, it's a sign of I think affection and obviously care. I know I can get saved. Let me save Dina here. See if we can take care of that. Obviously, it exposes her. Dina still doesn't know, obviously, yes, that she's immune. Puts her in this moral conundrum of, think about just earlier in the episode, they're sharing this, developing moment with one another, kind of building this sort of relationship together. Dina is seeing Ellie in this different light. And then almost immediately, it's like, that's been taken away from me. She threw her hand out there. The future I see with her, the future that is worth living for, it just quickly disappeared, just like that. And then on top of that, I probably got to be the one that kills her now. It's so screwed up. It's like a Shakespearean tragedy, a Greek tragedy where it's like, you know what? You're never going to get what you want, unfortunately. Right when you do, it's taken away from you. And so taking them back to, I think instinctively in my head, I'm like, I'm sure there's a time. I'm sure they set a timer. Okay, 10 minutes. And I know you're about to turn. So we've got a small window. So yes, we need to get away from all these zombies still. That's number one. And Ellie hasn't turned yet. So let's get away. Let's find some safety. It's more important than me running on my own. If I just kill Ellie now, some of those zombies might get through and I don't know where I'm going. So it's like, I still need her. This still sucks. This is a shitty position to be in. And then obviously Ellie like, hey, dude, just watch me. Keep the gun on me all night, please. Like, I will show you. I kind of kept waiting for her to maybe show the tattoo in the arms, or I was waiting, and this is me waiting for someone to explain something on the show, which needs to not happen. But I was like, this is why Joel killed so many people, because if anybody knew this secret, who knows what's going to happen to me? And so there is that huge bit of trust that she had to kind of throw out there to save Dina's life, because Dina could turn around and go tell somebody, hey, Ellie's immune. Someone's going to come put a bag over her head and you're exactly back where they started, And so it's a tough moment to kind of force her into. But I think it pushes the story along where I think, as maybe Andres was saying, it's like, all right, the pregnancy info is coming a little bit sooner. And so one thing you had mentioned, Cyber, you said, there's these, I think there's a theme, whether it's the end of the world, apocalypse, we see it all the time in James Bond. For all of the action moments that happen, you got to have some emotional anchor to what you're watching. Watching zombies kill people is great, but watching a zombie kill someone that you love or that you have grown to really grow fond of, it's like, it's the worst. It's losing a great character too early. And that's sometimes I think what really sells stories like these. But I think of all of these end of the world situations where, some characters are either falling in love in a matter of it. Like my entire life, I'm like, they've known each other for days and they're on the Titanic. How could they be in love? How could they form this connection? But there's something to be said for when there really is nothing left to live for, when there only is the connection you can have with someone else. Why does James Bond sleep with 1 billion women as the world's ending? Why does Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible? You don't see it, but he slept with Rebecca Ferguson. He's intimate with Vanessa Kirby, because every day is life or death. And there's something, sex is a primal thing. They have that urge. And so it's like, man, if the world's ending tomorrow, we got to go out with a bang, literally. And so not that it makes things better or if you still feel like it's not necessarily, I totally respect that. It was just something I thought of where I was like, in every show or movie where it's the end of the world, there's always some real quick, like, they just got together and now they're in love. And in this case, now they're having a baby. And then there's another guy who I guess is a part of it too. That's it for me on this in this section. Great video game moments, super tense, puts you in a really hard spot for the characters, and I think is going to force them to progress in a way that is going to help aid the story and kind of keep us moving at a good pace, though.
All right, thank you, sir. Pop culture guy, your thoughts, sir?
Yeah. So, I mean, no, I think one of you guys brought up before, Les. I think you brought up the behind the scenes stuff, and one thing I like about this season, I think, is seeing more of the effect. The clickers and the bloaters. More in the screen than than first season. You saw briefly Bam in one episode, or the next or whatever. And man, the stunt people, and like they're like really going like just 100% on this show. Just like the crazy practical effects and mixing with the VFX is like so amazing, so cool. I mean, like seeing those herd of infected, you know, just you know, chasing the two protagonists and the train, and then doing the typical zombie thing, just bringing it in force is like so like amazing and classic. I'd never get old of never get old. I can't speak today. I can never get old for that. It's always cool. It just works so well. Like it always annoys me with World War C. Like every zombie there was CGI, and it's like, oh my god, you could easily done that with practical, effects, and you see this, and
until you build hundreds of thousands of people on top of each other.
Yeah, I know. It's a cool scene, but it's like whatever, But I was so excited, especially the lead up. Yeah, first of just minor picks. Like I her throwing. Was it the third time she threw up? Like yes, she threw up before one of the clickers were making noises, right? And I was like, why? Like you're making this now even more dangerous now. Deneen.
They can smell puke.
Yeah, smell puke. They can hear the puke. I was like, oh my god, how many how many are there Daredevil? Like
maybe they're like, it's a bloater. We're good.
Yeah,
never mind. It's good company.
Yeah. That's just noble. That's our buddy Bob the bloater. So that was funny, and just hearing like the horror. Like at first you're hearing like maybe one or two clickers or affected, and then a bunch come out. I was like, whoa! I was like, oh, this is fantastic. And then when they get up to the upper level, I knew that it was gonna happen. Like when Denis was stuck in that I don't know what you call those. The train station things you have to pass through.
Turnstile.
Yeah, thank you. She had to do the thing that protect her, is like shield her from the affected. So yeah, I was surprised we did that. I haven't got up to the part where how she revealed it to her in the game. So this is my first time seeing that here. So I like it the way how they did it here, but I agree with one of you guys say before, it was very clumsy and very weird how Ellie was trying to de-escalate the situation and explain this. And I mean, I don't know how you explain you're immune. I mean, she could maybe it could have been easier. Do you show your arm and you see the wound slowly healing, and then she could get the idea oh, so she is telling the truth, because we saw that from first season when I think Joe saw when she did get bite, it did heal. So you could have done that more of a visual storytelling to give Deneen that, because because the way they did it here was a little it was a little clunky, and it was kind of okay. It was a little too forced, or not too forced, but it was a little clunky.
Well, because the scenario, because she had to reveal it was forced.
Yeah,
how it was delivered maybe wasn't as succinct as it could have been.
Yeah. I mean, because
obviously in her control, really.
Yeah, I mean, first off, talking to your person, seeing you infected is really worst thing. In X-Men First Class, good example. This, I mean, it's different situation, but when Charles Xavier say, "Look, Magneto, okay, these people are just taking orders, and that was such a wrong way to say that to him. And it's like, and then he just throws the missiles to the Russians and the U.S. and the Cuban Missile Crisis at the finale. And here is like, you don't know if you say something, she will literally shoot you in the head. It doesn't matter, you're immune. So I was surprised at that.
Well,
The way
you're
she-
going to say anything right now to
Yeah,
have
yeah,
me not
yeah,
kill
so-
you. What is anybody going to do when they get inflicted? It's like, no, please.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
have to do this.
Yeah, exactly. So it was very funny. And then I was surprised she was like that, like up, like wake up to like hold the gun and the light.
Oh yeah, that just cop flashlight hold.
Like I was like, how are you holding that? You should be tired. Like you're like, sleeping.
That's
like,
that's the
you know.
life or death. I'm sure that's the
Yeah,
adrenaline.
yeah,
Like I
exactly.
fall asleep, and that's what she's waiting for. She's
Yeah.
waiting
Yeah.
for me to fall asleep.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. So, and just wrapping up, and this, I mean, look, I don't care, but I mean, them making up after that was like, okay, that's very TV. Like, I don't know why you want to like, have your characters like, making out, and it's like, I don't know, maybe just one kiss and then cut, to the next scene. Like I don't need this long next section, but that's what it is. But overall, I was satisfied. I was so happy to see the infected. It was so well choreographed. I mean, kudos to the stunt team. When I saw the behind the scenes stuff, I was like, wow, the stunt team needs to get Emmy for like their work. It's like we need these guys, and that's why I'm so happy the Oscars got the award for the stunt people.
Right.
Which is good because they do a lot of work for these actors. I mean,
They're gonna bump that up to this next year's Oscars.
Yeah,
so
I know.
So they can give Tom Cruise
Tom
an
Cruise,
award
yeah,
for the Mission
for-
Impossible.
for all his achievements of the crazy stunts he's done. But then after the effective, we got a little clunky with the storyline, how to reveal the immune. So it was a satisfying sequence. Yes, it was clunky, but I was satisfied where we're at. I'm happy that she knows that she's immune because you don't want that to drag. Like I've seen that so many times in TV storylines. So that's where I'm at right now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Sir Jeff, I see that you're back finally. How we doing, sir? What happened? And your thoughts on the section, basically when they run through the or getting away from the infected to them running through that spinny gate to basically Bella Ramsey telling Dina that she is immune.
Yeah, I don't want to repeat everything that's already been said, so I'll just say that the stuff with the infected is great. It's like the highlight of the episode, for me. It really like got kind of slow after that. When it just got back down to Dina and Ellie again. It got kind of boring for me. But the stuff with the tension that was built. When they encountered, the wolves or whatever, and then, running into the infected and all that was very like high, tension, type shit. So I enjoyed that. That was fun. Very action packed, besides that, I don't really have anything else to say.
All right. Thank you. Les, your thoughts, sir.
So I can definitely tell in season 2 whether or not you're charmed by Dina and Ellie's relationship is going to definitely make or break huge chunks of each of these episodes. Dina's relationship with her has made me like Ellie in a way that I just didn't in season 1. She got a funny lines. I love hearing kids swear. Old people swear. It's always fucking funny. But she didn't really win me over until almost the penultimate of or 8 or 9 of season 1, I think is when I really started to like Ellie. And so the Dina thing with her has been really working for me. So I really dug their thing later, but in the, I was thinking right before it broke off, damn, this episode has had like no zombies. Like is this season going to be a world with zombies, but we're really dealing with a cult and a militant group? Because that's kind of weird for a zombie show. And of course, literally as I'm thinking it, shit broke off. And we're running through cars of zombies and all of that was fantastic. Like them dropping down into the just piles of skeletons, like I loved all of that. I realized like I should probably be more impressed by like the dozen stunt people they put in harnesses. But honestly, I don't know who built the skeletons, but I loved it. When they dropped in there, that was fucking awesome. And then bursting through the windows, we talked about World War Z earlier a little bit, and the piles of zombies was I think the noteworthy thing in that movie that we hadn't seen before, right? This show outdoes that for me because it's not also the rest of World War Z. But in that, I would F2 when there's two swarms of them and they turn, there's something extra disturbing about things that look like people that don't have concern of how their limbs move. And I love that the zombies in this show,
100%.
They'll turn on a dime, even if it snaps their own knee, and then they'll just keep trying to run on like the flopping leg. I love that shit.
Did any of you guys see? Oh God, it was the Demi Moore
Substance.
Yes,
by the end, yeah.
Speaking to that idea of body horror, just no awareness or care for these limbs that are just going to snap and break as you run, and you're like,
so when there's just like a crush of them coming into the bus and they don't care, like they're just piling through, and realizing that like your best strategy in that shit is you don't have enough bullets to kill all of these. You want to shoot inconvenient ones that stop up a hole, basically.
Sure.
And that that scene just immediately broke off and was so cool. And then I was really amazed. It can be really hard to time editing on people doing actions that save another person and it not look weirdly stretched out for the show.
The jump and bullet save.
Right. And so I was really amazed that like as they're trying to pack through the turnstile, that whoever did the choreography and the editing, it really worked to have her just like Superman jumping in front of somebody and being like, oh shit, yeah, I'm bulletproof, sorry. And making that save. But I was in the same boat. For as well timed as that was, Romeo and Juliet was all that came to mind. Was like, man, wait 5 more minutes before drinking the poison and your dude would have woke up. I can't believe Ellie didn't get shot in the street between there and the theater.
Yeah.
I thought to God she was going to, because literally every other person in the entire world, every living human is like Dawn of the Dead rules. Like I know you love your dad, but we got to shoot him right now. Like he's going to turn, and there'd be no hesitation. That's the whole thing. And so honestly, what actually made that, I think the reason they stretched that part, I think the reason that they held off to go across the street was to hit me, like was a meta show reason, because of how fast they killed Joel.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think they were going to kill Ellie this season, because like this episode, because I hadn't seen like my entire social media catch fire and melt down. But I wasn't 100% sure that we weren't about to shoot Bella Ramsey in the street.
Sure. And
then regret the shit out of it for the rest of the season. But still, I wasn't 100%. And the two things that really, from the tech side, caught me this episode, when they first crawl through the little tunnel and come out, we're in like a pitch black room and they raise the light just a bit. And it really felt like my eyes a little bit like my eyes adjusting to a super dark room. And I thought that was a cool transition. And so I think the lighting just nailed shit. But the other people that I think should get props are makeup, because man, when you'll talk about like, how can Dina be awake enough to sit there with that gun and the flashlight, like cop looking at you the whole night? When she lowers that light, like she looked rough when they ran inside, like from the rain, like she looked rough from the zombie run.
Mm-hmm.
She looks like 1,000% rougher. Like just blue corpse for a minute until she turns that lantern on. I was like, oh girl, go to sleep.
Well, some of those bruises, I was speaking about the makeup and stuff too on Ellie, some of the bruises and the gnarly, I'm like, the attention to detail there.
Yeah, I know. I was really impressed on just the like, God, you look like you set up all night on an adrenaline pop of like, oh my God, you're gonna. But I was in the same boat of like, my no prize answer is that you just can't physically get close enough to her. She'll shoot you right now. But I was in the same boat of like, cordyceps bites that are infected, you see it under the skin start to thread its way into you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the mark, like that's the market thing that doesn't happen on her. Like
Sure.
her first bite went a little bit, but didn't go any. And so like that's something you can show people of like, no. Like it should be.
There's nothing
not
wiggling
doing
under here.
Right. Like it's not wiggling under there. And so I was kind of in the same boat of like, show your fucking arm, show her your arm, like show her I guess showing 2 more bites maybe not help, but no, like show her the 2 other bites.
Right.
I guess you did too good a job of covering those up, but I don't know, man. In this apocalypse, I wouldn't trust anybody that's like, it's a burn.
I think the street hesitation, because I'm with you. As soon as like the fact that
I thought she was going to
it's like in the moment, yes, let's get immediately away from the zombies at the turnstile. Let's get outside. And obviously Bella's got or Ellie's got the mindset of like, we need to get off the streets, we need to get into somewhere. Probably not thinking too much about the fact that Dina's like, you should be dead, or I should kill you.
I was shocked that Dina didn't get a shot off or like wing Ellie.
Because Ellie obviously, she's in protective mode. She's thrown her arm in there to save Dina, has almost lost her. We need to keep moving. What would Joel do? Where do we go? And then Dina, I think in hindsight, it gives me a little more explanation maybe for the moment. But there is that hesitation. Yes, every single other person in the world, in every zombie universe, would put her down in the street immediately.
Really should. And by all safety rules, she should drop her in that street.
And here's Dina, though, who has trekked from Yellowstone, Wyoming, wherever, Montana-ish area, with this woman who just risked her life for her. She knows that she's pregnant. And so if she kills Ellie right now, she really is alone. She's in Seattle. She is, out there, not for purposes of her own, but for this person who's just risked their life, which also feels stupid to them because it's like, oh my God, now I have to kill you. Like, yeah, I think that, and you're right, anybody else, there's no question we're putting her down. But because there is that feeling of the loneliness, because there is this weight that Dina's carrying on her shoulders, it's not an immediate execution there.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
So the one last thing I wanted to mention was something you had said earlier, the game mechanic vibe. This feels like a game mechanic thing. When Dina looks into the middle distance and listens, I thought that was really cool. Also, it's a fun. We've seen her do the like 1, 2. No, we can handle 2, 3. Okay, 3 gets dicey. And when you see her put her whole hand up, like if you need to put up 2 hands,
I was waiting for the other hand.
Just don't go in that building. Yeah, but that's all I got out of it. It was a cool segment, and what it leads into more or less worked for me. The one confession begats another. I got a scary thing. You got a scary thing. More or less worked for me. I will never understand why people cannot keep it in their pants in a danger situation. I don't care who you are. I don't care what pairing. I literally could be somebody alone all the way up to an orgy. I don't understand why we can't keep it in our pants when there's fucking zombies outside. And I will never get it. I know the answer is that it's not television, it's HBO. Like sexiness, but I will. That always throws me. I don't know. I tend to think most sex scenes in anything, like you don't have to watch Porky's. Like porn exists. Like you can just go watch sex. Like it's fine. And so we don't need to like cram this into movies. And so like most of the time I'm like, yeah, we could have cut out a little earlier. I don't need this to be steamy. But I'll chalk it up to them wanting to show intimacy, and I don't know. I'm not trying to yuck people's yum. People have different line than me, but for me, it's never. You got your point across. They love each other. I'm good.
Yep, true. Excellent. Thank you, guys. Good job. All right. So to finish off this episode, as they hide in an abandoned theater, a heartbroken Dina prepares to shoot Ellie, who explains that she is immune. Dina confesses to Ellie that she is pregnant, and they have sex. The next morning, they overhear the WLF, including Abby's friend Nora, are based at the Lakeville Hospital. And Dina tells Ellie that she still wants to go with her. And that's how the episode ends. I'm sorry, but you leaning over and kissing somebody to me is not sex. A little noise, that's not sex to me. So that them considering that a sex scene or that
I
was
think
them
that's Bella
doing
Ramsey's hand.
that,
Why
you know,
is yeah,
Heavy petting? I don't know what the TV
it's going to be
term
considered
for.
that.
yeah. Bella's
But
got a hand
anyways,
doing all the heavy lifting in that scene.
yeah. Yeah, so I think that was kind of hilarious that they consider that sex. But
Second
anyways,
base action.
yeah. So anyways, that I think for me personally, I could care less about the rest of the episode. It was boring to me. It was annoying. It made absolute no sense to me, the stupidness of how this episode ended after you had such a great little action sequence and then you kind of end off this way. Totally stuff I could deal without. I don't think it's anything special or anything great. So it did not end well for me. Anywho, going on to everyone else, I'll start with you, Nick. What were your thoughts on the conclusion of the episode?
Admittedly, we're having a kid. This, there's that movie TV magic moment where it's like, all right, now that we've had sex and now that, we're a full on couple and our truths are out there, we're having a kid. We're going to raise this kid together. I'm the baby's daddy. I can't quite remember what the line was. But there was an aspect of it that just felt silly because I'm like, this is, maybe it's Ellie again trying to be a little bit tougher, a little bit more of that, like, hey, I'm going to be I've seen the memes. I'm not the stepfather. I'm the father that stepped up. Kind of exuding this, like, I'm your protector. I'm going to take care of you. You don't got to worry about nothing. Forget the dude who's actually the father, because it's like you chose to be out here with me. And that I can take care of you. And so it was a mixed kind of feeling, just maybe in some of the line delivery there. Or they're like, oh yeah, well, I guess, there is another guy involved in this. And maybe I was trying to, maybe one of you guys can actually clarify for me, when they were looking out at the hospital, it looked like it was already kind of under siege, or there was smoke billowing maybe, or it's like, well, that's where we're headed over there. So it's like nothing's going to come easy in this show. And so maybe that's where I kind of like, we're all kind of feeling maybe midway into the season, I'm waiting for it to be relentless. I'm waiting for it to just pick up and kind of not let you go for a while. I'm waiting for, and again, I've only watched parts of the second game. When is Tommy going to pop up? Is he going to make the trek with some people from the community? Because I can't imagine that back home there aren't people who want to stick up for Joel, that believe. And, that was a moment I thought Bella Ramsey did well, as far as like, hey, my character is pretty out there, aggressive, swearing like a sailor. If I'm really going to get something across, I got to be serious with this. And I thought her speech was great. I thought it was, especially for what had just happened to them, for the world that they live in. Yeah, if somebody comes in here and kills any one of our people, what are we going to do about it? Do you do nothing? Do we just let that happen? Do you allow that to happen? Or do you care enough about the people in this community and in this commune that you would go and fight for your neighbor? I think that maybe some of them, I think about that too, actually. As young as she is, again, whether it speaks to the naivety, or I think everybody can remember it being younger, you're that 18, 22 college-ish range. There's this feeling of empowerment, of I can change the world. Things don't have to be as black and white as they seem. But in some cases, we need to stand up for our values. You've not gone and experienced the world in some ways. And so adults are going to look at you like, if only you knew, if only it were that simple, child, where of course we're not going to go send our people to get slaughtered for one guy. But I think they did a good job of just showing that, hey, in everybody's life, there's going to be one person that you would go to the ends of the earth to fight for, whether it's family, friends, lover, whomever. And so now that they have this deepened connection, now that there is this, hey, not only were we fighting to avenge Joel, but now we're fighting for one another in a totally different way. I just hope that moving forward, the wheels come off. It's just nonstop, heavy-duty action, and in that same sense, just raising those stakes. I think now that we have this investment, now they can dangle Dina over a cliff, waiting for Ellie to hopefully save her. I can see moments where they're going to use this relationship against them. I think someone said it in here earlier, where it does. Maybe it was you, Anders. It gives you a lot of scenarios to play with, where the villains can be like, "Yeah, we already took Joel. You got something else you love out here? Like, that was your mistake, you know." So I hope that kind of feeds into something that will just continue to build on the situations that they've already kind of constructed.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, J-Ran, you there?
I am.
Your thoughts, sir. Your thoughts on the conclusion, sir.
It well, kind of just to touch base with the whole show. It has a lot of like I like to think of like a roller coaster every time I talk about an episode, and this kind of was just like on a steady pace. Well, the beginning part I think was like the most exciting part, and then we get to the middle part, it's kind of boring. Then we get to the zombies part. It was good. We had some action going on. Then we got slow again. You know, the reveal of her being pregnant, you know, and prior to what we were talking about, to her, you know, also revealing that she's immune. And then we see that there's stuff going on in the distance. So that's where we're going now. I'm expecting some more action to happen. I'm expecting something big to happen in the next episode. It wasn't in the grand scheme of all the episodes, this wasn't a terrible episode. Even if some of the parts were slower, I'm just being critical of those, you know, points of the episode. Not necessarily mean that they are bad. I think a lot of you guys who, you know, have counterpoints to anything that I've said or that anybody else has said, I think they're all valid. I think they all sound good, and, you know, makes me rethink those scenarios about like, yeah, you're right, a post-apocalyptic, you know, what would you do in this scenario? What are you missing? Those type of things. So, you know, kind of revisit those ideas and rethink those areas as to, like, you know, valid arguments. It wasn't a terrible episode. Now, I'm not a fan of the type of love story that it is. I like love stories in movies. I think they can be done really well. I think this is just a show that has a love story that was created by a video game. And I don't think video games create the best love stories, because that's not the goal of whoever made this game was trying to do. I think it was game, and they gave you the zombies as the goal of the game, and then there was a love dynamic. So trying to transfer the idea of a love story into now an actual film or episode, I think kind of is a little bit difficult, and I think they've done a good job from that. Like, I don't think it's terrible, but I think it's very like I hate to use the word force, but it's not the typical love story that you get, you know, because of the whole maybe the lesbian love story. Maybe that's all it is. I'm definitely not homophobic at all, you know. So that's not it. I just don't like it in this story. I like the whole episode. I like this, you know, all the episodes. I love it, you know. It's not my cup of tea when it comes to that, but overall, I think it's good, and I'm excited for the next one.
I think there's something you mentioned that just, you know, what I appreciate is that you've definitely been entertaining, you know, the art, like much like I've been trying to do, and I think we've all been doing, you know, entertaining the different ways that people have seen the episodes or what you could kind of pull from it. Something that I just, maybe if I played the games, I'd feel more enthused about the show overall. Something that's just surprised me about the show to this date, for the pedigree that it has, for the cast that it has, from the effects to the makeup, there's so much that is so well done about this show. But I'm still waiting for it to catch fire. Like, I'm still, for as big a production as it is, for as much as it's talked about, for as much as we're talking about it here too, there is this kind of gut feeling that I have, where I'm kind of like, when is this going to really explode? Like, when is this going to get, I don't want to say good, because there have been some great moments in different parts of the first season and in this season so far. But it's like, for as big a production as this is, for as much weight as it carries, I'm still like, it's like The Mandalorian sometimes. I'm like, you guys are screwing around for all the money you have in the world, for what you could do, for as many zombies as you could, because it's like Star Wars. Watching Revenge of the Sith the other day in theaters, people want lightsaber battles. I don't care if it's 10 minutes. I don't care if it's 5 minutes. Give me something that's more than 30 seconds of the new people doing largely uninteresting battle. You know, I'm like, I'm just waiting for something gripping. I'm waiting for it to really live up to its expectations, maybe. And it's just interesting to hear that maybe I'm not alone in that, or that people are also kind of feeling some of that too, though, because it's like it has felt like a roller coaster, and not one that's necessarily been consistent.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Was that all you had, J-Rent?
You know, one last thing, just to touch base off of what he said. I think we are kind of waiting for the real quick. We're just waiting for the finale. I think that's what it is, and it feels like with the death of Joel, it feels like that was like a finale episode, and it was in the very beginning. You know, so what could be better than that to end it? And I think that's what we're waiting for. That's it.
All right. Thank you. Wes, your thoughts, sir, on the conclusion?
Honestly, I felt like the stronger moment to go to credits would have been when Dina turned the flashlight off. I'd have just shown her with the gun in the dark for a moment and then gone to credits. Because I will always find it silly to, like, we're going to parent a child. Like, you are laying on a floor in a fucking war zone you don't even know the factions of. Like, and that's not mentioning the cordyceps. Like, why are you, I mean, I don't know how you, I mean, I don't, it didn't seem like that store had plan B or whatever, but I don't know how you deal with that, but there's no way in hell I would have a child in that world. It's insane. And so that whole thing felt a little like, well, I guess we're going to be chipper about this now. And like, I mean, I'm all for, you know, keeping a positive attitude, but what the living shit. And then it's cool to me. I like them standing outside, like, we're going to that building, the burning one. Yep. That's fun, but it makes me worry that we're going to wander into this faction fight. Either next episode's going to do a bunch of setup for me of like the Scars versus the Wolves. I know we've got a lot of things going on that I'm worried if we thread them together are going to dissipate that momentum that we're all wanting to build. Because like we still need to know what's, like you said, like where's Tommy in all this. I think in the game he goes after Joel. Someone told, like, so like I'm surprised he's not out on the road.
For what I do and don't know, I'm right there with you. Yeah.
And also Catherine O'Hara, what does she know about Joel's secret? And like we've still got that hanging out there. And so I know we're gonna have to jump back to Jackson Hole and do some stuff. We're gonna have to jump to other groups, and that always cuts pacing and momentum. And so I'm worried that as we move between Ep 4 and the finale, which I assume is going to be killing Abby, or deciding not to, however that is going to go. But between here and there, I'm worried that we're going to get a lot of like threaded together episodes that don't have a lot of forward momentum, or we're going to get like singularly separate episodes where if it's not your B plot, you're fucked that week. These are our concerns, dude. That's my general worry about the show, because I'm kind of in the same boat as Nick. I watched all this, binging it for TV Dudes, because I'd never really caught up on it. I don't know that this show could be done better than it's done. It is prestige television. Craig Mason's killing it. All the directors are great. All the actors are great. And yet, week to week, if everyone I knew didn't want to talk about it, I don't know that I'd throw it on. I don't wake up and I'm like, ah, shit, Last of Us is out. And I would love it to I don't know what it would take to break off like that. I also don't want to go rewatch like Cormac McCarthy's The Road. So Maybe,
right,
maybe,
it's like
maybe
the
I'm just not in the
Andor.
middle. Yeah, maybe I'm just not in
Andor
the
is
middle
like
of an apocalypse thing right
I'm
now.
waiting. And even the studio. I don't know if y'all are watching the studio
Mhm.
on Apple with Seth Rogen in them, but that's one where I'm like, I'm more psyched to watch that every week
Yeah,
than The Last of Us right now.
and maybe I just want a more fun show than what any apocalypse show's gonna fucking be.
Sure.
But yeah, I realize it's the end of the episode, Cyber, but when you said that of like and the way it closed, it was like, oh, that's right, there is more after that scene. And it's pretty important. Like they're talking about the kid and shit. But also I don't that was the only like section of the episode where I was like, you could talking about the studio. Ron Howard, you could trim that off.
Yeah.
And
That well,
I would have been fine. Could have gone to
you're-
credits on Dina watching her sleep.
You're speaking to something that like is someone who notices those things in movies or TV shows too, or like, ooh, that's a perfect bookend moment for the episode. Leave the people guessing.
Like I
Does
know
she
damn
kill
well
Ellie?
she's not going to turn,
She's
but
not
I'll be
going to
real.
do it. Does
Every
she shoot her
time Ellie
maybe
gets
though?
bit, and every time this the cordyceps get a little smarter or change at all, and then she gets bit again, and every time I'm like, girl, you're
This
taking
could be
this
the
on
one.
a lot of faith that that you and the cordyceps are still at the same evolution point here.
And you know, when they trek to Seattle, like in that episode, that you know, I was glad that yes, we're not going to spend 2 whole episodes just trying to get to Seattle, but I was like, the pacing of this episode is so uneven for how we rally people and then we're just going to go and we're gone. And I was like, this could have maybe been like a 35-minute episode, weirdly, but we're making it a 55-minute one or something. And so it was like how they're structuring parts of it just feels a little odd, or it feels like, you know, you could have ended it here actually, or for this, like that's what's been interesting about Andor doing the 3 episodes at a time almost, is it's like narratively and hopefully most stories, it's like you're going to have those couple episode arcs where we set something up episode 3 and in episode 4 we start to pay it off a little bit. Yeah. And so with a show like this, there's always so much debate over what the best streaming release model is. Do you drop every episode at once? People get through it too quick and it's like, damn, I want more. In this case, kind of like a Rings of Power almost. It's like, again, beautiful looking show. You've put all the money in the world and the best directors and writers and everything. And there's still this like, this should be not better than it is, but I should be more jazzed to want to watch the Rings of Power. They've spent $1 billion on this. Why am I not here every weekend? Like, yeah, I can't wait to see, you know, and I think some of that is just the structure of how they're telling the story, what we're adding and what we're choosing to develop for the show. And then what we are like sticking hard line to for the game. It's like, that's where with Joel, it's like my dad who does not play the game or any games, knows nothing about this, is just like, I'm sure what a lot of people feel like, yeah, I don't think Bella Ramsey's going to carry a show. You just killed the best. You just killed the best thing about the show.
Yeah, I
and
really thought we'd rely
episodes
heavier on flashbacks because of how magnetic Pedro Pascal is just in any role on any screen.
Absolutely, it's a huge risk, you know, and it's
Nick, let Liz finish what he's saying.
Oh no, we're just both piling on the same point. I was just going to tell Sai that's about all I got on it. The weirdness of it technically being the last chunk of the show, but also is the only part that I could have dropped. Like we could have moved that to next episode.
Gotcha. Yeah, most definitely. There definitely, I feel in any of these episodes, we definitely have points that I feel you could stop it at and you'd be fine to go on to the next episode. Most definitely. I feel that in a lot of these episodes actually, which is kind of funny, but good point. Great job, guys. Jeff, your final thoughts, sir, on the episode.
Oh, well, I mean, nothing really happened in that ending part that you just talked about right there. Nothing really happened. The whole pregnancy deal doesn't really mean anything to me. Like, I don't really care for that storyline. I hated the way that Bella Ramsey sounded saying, I'm going to be the dad. She sounded so stupid. Like, I hated that. You know, we'll see what happens with the rest of the season. You know, I mean, I'm not super optimistic, you know, just based off what we've seen so far through episode 4. But, you know, this was an okay episode. It was better than episode 3. I'll say that. Better than episode 1, most definitely. Again, I don't want to go back over already charted territory, Cyber. So I'll drop it there.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Hello.
Oh,
You hear
God.
me?
Sorry. Sorry about
I was like, he's speaking through him.
I'm speaking through Andres. I have become a Time Lord. Anyways, so that's the episode, guys. So we'll go around, give a rating on what you feel the episode is, and then we'll plug and get the hell out of here. So I'm gonna give the episode, since it was a little better than 3. I can't remember what I gave 3, but I'll give this one a 8 for the fact that we got some zombie action and we got some action, and Jeffrey Wright was fantastic. So I have to give it an 8. What do you give it, Jeff?
I'll give it an 8. That's fair. I'll give it an 8.
Jay Wright?
Sure, same thing, an 8. Why not?
Okay. Nick?
Funnily enough, I was like a 7.5 or an 8 is probably where I was falling, because I think definitely better than I think they've had some 6s in there, 6s with moments of 9s and 10s, but no, this is definitely one of the more standout ones I've seen, and I think that at least an 8 for sure.
Okay. Les?
I think I enjoyed the Dina Ellie scenes, the mixed character and actor there, more than most of y'all, and I, this show's going to live or die on whether that works for folks. We'll see how season 2 does, because it's a fucking risk. But I'd probably say an 8 as well. It's my second favorite episode of the season. Episode 2 was just, and that's hard television to top. And I liked it better than 1 and 3. But yeah, we'll see where we go so far. There's some irons in the fire, and I don't know. I don't know how they're going to thread them together. We'll see.
Excellent. Awesome. All right. So great job, everyone. Great talk back forth. Everything was great. Guys gave a lot of great points. Everyone did a fantastic job. Everyone got 1,010 billion points. Of course, as newcomers, we always want to shine the light on them. So we'll definitely be shining you out, guys. And I just want to say that we give out a special award to the best player of the night every episode. And of course, tonight we're going to give it to both Nick and Les for being newcomers on the show. Both of you did a fantastic job. We got to give you the Danny Award. You guys are fantastic. And the Danny Award. And of course, we got to give Andres the award for falling out and coming back and transcending through me award tonight. Andres, if you're there, sir, before we get out of here, what rating would you give it, sir?
I'll give it a 8.5 out of 10. That's all. Thank you, folks, joining us tonight on this shit show that is my time travel.
Excellent. All right, good job. So let's push it over to you, Jeff, and you plug us out, sir.
Okay. All right. Les, you go first, brother.
Yeah, folks can find me over at the tvdudes.com. If you happen to be coming to Austin for the ATX Television Fest, it's always a good time. We'll definitely be lurking around there, doing interviews, checking out panels. We put out an episode every Saturday, put out interviews here and there as they happen.
Okay. Thank you, Les. All right. Nick.
Yes, sir. So you guys can find me NT Movie Reviews on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. I upload weekly podcasts. I do mostly film reviews, but I've been watching. There's been a lot of good television recently, so I've been dipping my toes back in. I still watch a lot of TV. I just don't do a good enough job talking about it. So you can look for those weekly on wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube. Predominantly where I'm at, and we got the Seattle International Film Festival coming up here in the next couple weeks, so there's going to be a lot of interviews, different movie reviews coming out of that, so really looking forward to getting back into some of that, and happy to be here and and thankfully you guys had a spot. This was a great time.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, Nick. We really appreciate you coming on tonight. We appreciate your energy, brother. So next I'll go to Cyber.
All right, as always, folks, if you enjoy me moderating or on the panel, you can check out my solo content. You'll find me under Cyberneticshark. You'll find me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Patreon, Threads, pretty much anywhere there's a social media platform, you'll find me. And as you can see there, my most recent review is A Working Man. Just dropped that yesterday. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. If you haven't seen my Naked Gun trailer reaction, definitely check that out too. Looking forward to that film. Love Liam Neeson, and I don't know, for some reason, Liam Neeson films on my channel for some reason always have crazy numbers for trailer reactions. I don't know why, but this one and then the freaking trailer reaction for Retribution has garnered like 20,000 views. It cracks me up. So anyways, if you like Liam Neeson, definitely check that out, folks. And then if you haven't seen any of my shorts recently, my most recent two are The City of the Dead, which is a 1960 witch movie, or Tin and Tina, which is a kind of like Village of the Damned type of feel, kind of, which evil children type of deal. The Bad Seed, if you've ever seen that, it's kind of like that Spanish film on Netflix. Very interesting film. If you haven't seen it, check out that mini review. And I'll be having more stuff up for you guys, more trailer reactions, more movie reviews for you guys as it comes along and stuff like that. And yeah, just putting up stuff that I watch that I haven't put up shorts for and stuff like that. So yeah, keep on watching, keep on tracking, keep on subscribing, people. Check out my Patreon page. Get all kinds of cool stuff on there. Bloopers. You got to check out the bloopers. They're super funny. And yeah, thank you for watching. And as always, thank you for watching us here on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge, and keep on watching us here. And thank our wonderful guest tonight.
J-Ray, you're not active currently, but I'll still pull your podcast up really quick just so you could give a quick shout out.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah. Well, name's J-Ren, and I have a Ghost podcast. It's still there. You can still listen to some previous ones. Haven't done anything since last year. Taking a break, but you can always go and check it out. See what you think. A lot of good stuff on there. Movie reviews, interviews, stuff like that. Apple and Spotify.
Okay. All right, folks. Cyber, thank you very much for moderating, hosting tonight, and we appreciate it. Nick, Les, thanks for coming on for your first time. We really appreciate it. J-Rat, nice for you to come on, brother. Andres, and everybody out there that supports the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. Support our, the guest creators that came on tonight, of course. And we wish everybody a wonderful night. We'll see you on Friday for Andor episode 3. And then back again next Monday for The Last of Us episode 5. So have a good evening, afternoon, morning.
Episode 2 of Walking Dead, sir.
Dead City.
Yeah, Dead City, yeah. Wednesday's
right.
episode 5.
Yeah, Dead City.
Last of Us, yeah.
Thank you, sir. All right. We'll see you later, folks.
Yeah, peace out. All right, bye.